First, I want to say thank you for carving out some time. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, back at the back. Over a year ago, was it?
It was last year.
Yeah, last year we recorded, in our opinion, I can't say our favorite because we have other friends that we've recorded, but one of our favorite podcasts or conversations ever. It was awesome. I love the way you think. I love the way you articulate thoughts. And
well, praise God. Hopefully, I can recreate the magic.
Well, no pressure at all. But the reason why we couldn't air was that massive storm that rolled through Dallas, and it was like we had that huge LED screen.
We were
like
in
flickering.
It's
It's like
with it raining and thunder.
It sounded like a tornado going over us. Like
it was very dramatic.
It was. All the lights cut off in the middle of it.
Yeah, and then when we started doing the flashlights under our chins, it was
it was powerful. So anyway, thank you for taking some more time.
Oh, for sure.
We're here in your beautiful state, your beautiful city,
I love
your awesome, incredible office. I wish we had cameras. We could go back there and show them.
I tell people about your office all the time.
It's so funny. Well, like I wasn't even supposed to be in this office, and Nate Puccini moved me into this place because he knew that I would not write good sermons if I wasn't inspired. And so he knew I also needed windows, or I'm just going to write depressing sermons.
Yeah, I feel that.
That's all just...
Don't put you in a cave.
You need
Yeah,
some sunlight.
Exactly. I need sunlight, and I need to be surrounded by fun things. So like for me, that's like either I go with like this British theme or my neon boombox kingdom in my other room.
I know people can't see it right now with the cameras, but we're looking at his office, and he has this desk that's flipped upside down.
It's called a
zero gravity desk.
Yeah.
It's just
he likes his content like this.
Everybody, they call it my dentist chair when, honestly, I got the zero gravity chair because when I would film stuff for Instagram or whatever, I didn't want to have to move a desk and a credenza out of the way. And so I thought, if I have like a rolling zero gravity chair that I can just
you can
slide
roll that
out
around?
Yeah, well, that was the whole goal, is that I can turn it into a YouTube studio. My office can also be like a little studio where I have multiple camera angles, and then my desk is kind of obsolete, if that makes sense.
You write so much content. Like you talk to me about content and ideas probably more than any person I've ever had a conversation with. Definitely more than pastors. You're like a creative trapped in a pastor's body to me.
Oh man, for sure.
Do you feel that?
Oh, I feel like I'm more of like a writer in a lead pastorate, and by writing I mean music, scripts, sermons, books, just anything. I like to be like a movie script. Yeah, I love being just creative artist almost more than I like being a pastor. I realize that this is kind of which sounds awful. Like the old joke was, "Oh, pastor, you love people, just not in person," and that's not true at all. I do love people. It's just I do love I love reading books, and I love innovating. So for me, it's kind of like that's where
How much time of your schedule is devoted to content creation?
Oh, way more than the average lead pastor, for sure. But actually, it plays in my favor because, like, I remember when I first planted Substance 21 years ago. When you're a church planter, you have to build the church through recruiting, and so it was like 7 coffee appointments a day.
Yeah.
Can I be your pastor? Yeah, and then writing messages is like, oh, that's your free time. You don't have, which is why I always tell people, don't plant unless you have like 500 to 1,000 messages under your belt, because it just slows down the thing that you should be doing, which is just recruiting, coffee, meeting with people, pastoring people. But what's funny is now that social media has changed preaching. Like when I first started preaching, you could suck and nobody knew that you sucked because nobody really had access to other people's sermons. Pastors didn't even put them online. They had like CD. They had tape duplication ministries, if you remember. Wait,
I'm going to keep talking about this, but when did you start in ministry? You told me earlier.
I literally started in 96, so almost 30 years ago.
So you've been a senior pastor for 30 years.
Almost 30 years of that, yeah. I started out as a youth pastor, worship pastor, became a lead pastor in Wisconsin, resigned it after about 6 years, and then planted Substance 20 years ago.
And you've been writing content for 30 years.
Yeah.
And even before that, you were writing songs. Right?
Oh, yeah. So I think I've been writing, well, I mean, think about it, like 2 sermons a week for 30 years, or even, and same thing with music, a song a week for sure. And so just, I have a repository, I'll say it that way. I have a deep well. I've logged my 10,000 hours
I don't
according
know
to
if it's
Erickson.
okay if I say this. We can edit it if you don't want to say it. You told me that you have, did you say 8 books that are like 3/4 of the way?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Right now.
Easily 8 books written that I haven't released. And way more than that, because I'm not even talking about like sermon series that could
That are
be a book.
repackaged. Yeah.
If I did that, then it would be like 25 books, right?
Way
Because
up
like, but I mean, think about it though. Like when you've been preaching for 30 years, 2 messages a week. I mean, I've got archives of miracles, of food multiplication miracles that are modern that would confirm what happened in the Bible. Or, I mean, I have literally entire folders of people healed with cancer that I can whip out that are very specific to a certain topic. Or the benefit, I think, when you do anything longer than 10, 15 years is you get more efficient at it. Now it's more like, how complex can I make it? Can I do a video that reenacts the story and then let that be? So I'm always still putting more effort into it. It's just that I'm creatively recycling 60% of my sermon and then adding more multimedia content. So, or adding more comedy content, or adding more, whatever it is that will kind of take the content to the next level, which is great in the sense that now that social media has exposed people to the best communicators all around the world, I think it's harder to get into preaching because the bar has been raised. The amount of time you got to spend. Now everybody knows if you are good or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so then it becomes this, if you do become you'll notice like even amidst content creators, they pop and they get well known and then they die of burnout about 2 years into it. They can't maintain the pace of the content. It's like the sophomore slump in music. They spent 5 years writing their first album, and then now they get to this point where the demand is higher. And, I've got, like, part of the reason why I'm so excited to get into film or even start releasing more albums is because I literally have 8 electronic dance music albums already written. I have, literally 20 Christmas sermons, and of those 20 Christmas sermons,
can you send this
20
to me?
For sure.
I get so stuck on Christmas and Easter because
there's only
preaching the same thing.
There's only so much to say about baby Jesus.
Yeah,
I think I have a sermon on baby Jesus. I have the nativity through the eyes of a donkey, through the eyes of the wise men, through the eyes of Mary, through the eyes of Joseph, through the eyes of Herod, through the eyes of what more perspectives can I preach on? So there is a certain degree but over the years though, you also are collecting other people's content, right? Or getting inspired by other people's content. And so, nowadays, it's getting easier and easier also to acquire content through LLMs and things like that.
I want to ask you this because, again, you're a creative, you are a pastor, you're also a technologist, and we were just talking about algorithmic of spiritual predictions.
Yeah.
I probably said that wrong.
Yeah, algorithmic predictors, yeah.
And so you're thinking in all of these different ways, and so I would be curious to hear from you, as you're creating all of this content, how are you using AI to help you with it?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, first off, I always, whenever I'm talking about AI, it's funny how people react to it. And, there's a portion of the audience that immediately freaks out and another portion that loves it. And so I'm always really careful about, who I'm talking to beforehand, because there are a lot of issues with it, right? It's kind of like the Pope just came out with his ethics of AI, and it is it's actually really good if, people actually want to people should read it. But my thing is it's here whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And either we either jump into it and determine the ethics of how to use it, or we live in denial of it and somebody else will define that space. And so my whole thing is if I have to, like, you know, it's kind of like the question of the Terminator. You have Skynet, right? Are we creating the Terminator? Well, my thing is I would rather start working at Skynet today and get the Terminator saved.
Yeah.
And so he's leading people to Christ instead of, you know, but yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, so when it, to be honest, I've been obsessing over this I've been thinking about chatbots now for about 6 years.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a guy come to me wanting to build a chatbot with the church probably like 7 years ago, and I didn't even know what it was. I was like, I had to Google chatbot. I'm like, you mean the irritating things that
pop up?
Like a phone, like a robocaller?
Yeah.
It was kind of my only concept of it. But then the moment I started really diving into it, it changed everything. So it was funny because at the end of the year, ChatGPT will tell you what you did on it over the year.
You're like Spotify Wrapped for
yeah,
ChatGPT.
right.
I didn't know it did that.
Yeah.
It does that, and I turned out to be the top 1% most active users.
Wow.
On ChatGPT. And the funny thing is
this past year.
Yeah, and it's not even my favorite. It's not even the one.
What's your favorite?
Right now, Gemini and Notebook LM.
I like Claude as well.
Yeah, it depends on what I'm doing,
Yeah.
actually. So like, you know, like I started taking my entire sermon archive and I vectorized it so that way I can create my own sermon database for, you know, I spend so much time trying to find when was the last time I preached on that verse.
Yeah.
Or
my problem is I'm terrible administratively and like organizing things, and where I'm like I'll tell him like I don't know where this file is. Can you resend me this? Whatever. So I need someone else to take all of my sermons and build out my
your database.
My little database.
Yes.
I need someone else to help me do it.
Well, like
I'll hire you to do it.
Yeah, well, I can give you the process. No, like for real though, like actually I've had to go into my archive and have I'll even have a formula for metadata for all of my sermons now, that before I vectorize them and put them into a database that an LLM can actually search, because I need it for efficiency. For example, every time I read a book, I always purchase a DRM rippable digital that I can create a summary artifact.
That's great.
And then I can load it into my database, so that way if I'm like, oh, there was that one book I read 4 years ago, and I can search it and I can even have that book in my database. And so it's like creating a library for content creation, and it just makes you faster. You know what I'm saying?
How much time do you think that, now that you're using AI the way you do, how much time do you think is cut down on your content work?
Oh, it doesn't cut down on anything, because you make everything more complicated. You make work expands to the room allotted to it. And so it changes. So for example, I don't write my metadata descriptions anymore, but I had to create a template, like if, you know, like the YouTube description. If I was to, I was so picky about how I wanted to write it. How do you create like mystery in your description so that people will want to read or watch your sermon? And so I had to teach it, like, here's 1,000 examples of how I would write a YouTube description. And then I'd have 2 different chatbots analyze my strategy. Well, you always have like this many sentences. You always have a mystery question that baits people into something painful that they would love to know the answer to. And it gives me the formula, a universal formula. So then now that I have that, I don't write that description, and it can do it to 80% of the quality that I want, right? So now that it does that, it's that 1 hour out of my week that I devote to this thing. So it's not like, it doesn't save me time, but what it does is it makes me more efficient. And every week that I learn how to use it better. So like, for example, I never do a sermon series without reading 1 or 2 books. But what I can do now is I can go into, say, Notebook LM. I can take these digital books that are related to my sermon series, load it onto the notebook, and then it's basically a chatbot that will only read those books. It won't take anything from the internet, so I don't have to worry about sources. It will, and it hallucinates way less when I do it. So then I can literally say, I want you to use these commentaries, these digital books, and then I'll load up, here are my 6 sermons that I've done in the past that are related to it. What could I do? Or I could even just rip off, I could be like, what did Chris Hodges or Craig Rochelle preach on this? Strip it right off of the YouTube transcript, load it into that same database, and then it can give me recommendations. Well, if you're looking for a fresh scripture, Peter, like you beat this one to death at your church in the last, 5 years. Here's a scripture that functions the same way, but it might be fresh. And so then I can get recommendations faster.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever write my message, and no matter how hard I've tried, it can never even do 40%. But like I have an entire writing style guide. Like it knows my top 500 words, top 500 phrases. It knows my academic level. It even knows my joke formulas. Like if I ask ChatGPT, what are my Bible joke formulas, it would say, you have 15 ones that are prominent, and then list them. Like it can get that detailed.
Yeah.
And now based on the pattern of how you've preached to Substance Church, it now knows your audience as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, in fact, it now is a part of my metadata. What audience am I preaching to? If I'm preaching to
That's fascinating.
My own church audience versus an outside speaking gig. If I'm preaching to youth, it will, or
This is dated. We need to freshen you up.
It'll to the point where I can say, can you give me a youth revision of this message that I preach for adults? And it'll give me suggestions, adding more humor or more storytelling. Or if it's for YouTube, I can even, like, it'll change the native skeptics. So I've had to even clarify, even to my chatbots, how to, like, here are 8 different audiences. This is leadership, but not to pastors. This is pastoral leadership messages. Otherwise, it won't make good decisions in terms of even giving me the content that I want. Which sounds it's tedious. I mean, it took me like 500 hours a year and a half ago to set up my sermon writing tools, and I'm still tweaking them.
What if your team had a clear roadmap for the next 12 months on what was most important? Complete with objectives, key metrics, owners, and deadlines. And not only that, but also the accountability to see the plan through. Through our team planning offsites, we're able to help you unlock and identify where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there. With a focus on goals, key metrics, and actionable strategies, we'll build a plan that keeps you on track all year and provide the accountability to ensure that you execute what you planned. If you plan your work and you work your plan will work if it's a good plan. If you're ready to set up your team for success, clarity, and a clear roadmap moving forward, you can go to sidecarleader.com/coaching and let's make your vision a reality.
What are the so let's say there's some senior pastors here, or maybe they're anywhere on staff and they're writing sermons. What are some of the objections that you've heard from pastors or people in spiritual leadership when it comes to writing content that they're like, oh, that's unethical, or this, that, whatever? What are some of the objections you've heard, and what's kind of your response to them?
Well, ethically, number one, ChatGPT makes up crap all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
Like,
be careful.
if you don't know that, it's designed to tell you what you want to hear
Yeah.
more than the opposite. And so once you know that, it's designed to actually get you to pay money to use it. So it's not going to offend you. So
It is such a yes man.
yeah, well, and it also creates a very, very generic vanilla, like no matter how much it knows my content, if I told it to write a sermon in my voice, it'll use all my words, but it won't take people up to the line of
It doesn't have
conviction.
your
Yeah.
soul in it.
Yeah.
Right. Nor does it want to take people right up to the line of conviction because it doesn't want to offend people. And so
Interesting.
it'll give very generic platitudes, but it won't go right to the edge.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's kind of like fashion. It's always changing, right?
Mhm.
What is cool and why it's cool is so subtle.
Yeah.
And it takes someone who has that extra awareness of how to take it right up to the
It's
edge.
nuance.
Yeah, and so like, so there's that. There's also there's the sourcing. There's the like people are worried about ChatGPT taking their jobs, and it is taking a lot of jobs, and no question, it is. There's a lot of ethical issues and problems that people need to sort through. But the only thing I think it's good for when it comes to sermon writing is brainstorming.
Yeah, that's
And-
kind of how I use it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really helpful. Or I use it like this. I'm a storyteller. We were just talking about that back there. It's like I like to tell vulnerable stories
Yep.
threaded within the sermon as I'm expounding a text, because I feel like that resonates with people.
Mhm.
But what I found my weakness is, I can tell too much of the story, like just take too long, right?
Totally.
And so what I'll do is I'll record my voice telling the story, and then I'll say, help me get this to 2 to 3 minutes, distill it, whatever. And it's still my words, it's still my story, but it just helps me kind of refine it a bit.
More
That's
concise
been
framework, yeah.
super helpful for me.
Well, in fact, actually, I've been creating templates even for my own team. Like, so on my blog, even when it comes to sermon writing, I'll create brainstorming templates that anybody can use to write sermons better, faster. Like these little brainstorms. Like one of the things that I always do when I'm writing a sermon is I always do why to a factor of 3, which is like, don't tell people what to do, tell people why they don't want to do it, right? Like, don't tell people you need to pray, tell people why they don't want to pray. And then when you answer that, I don't want to pray because it's boring. Well, then why is it boring? It's boring because, I don't know if God's hearing me, or I don't know if I'm wasting my time, or I don't know if God's even going to answer it anyway. And then ask, well, why do you believe that God's not going to answer it anyway? Well, because that one time I prayed for my grandma and she didn't get healed. So why do a factor of 3? I just ask why questions 3 times. And then all of a sudden you mine out these deeper insights. And so my chatbots know actually my staff know that. Like when anybody's writing a sermon, I'll ask them, well, that's not deep enough. Why? Why do you not want to read your Bible? Because I'm reading the wrong books. Well, why are you reading the wrong books? Because I don't have a mentor. Well, why don't you have a mentor for Bible reading? That's your sermon right there, is you do not have someone helping you read your Bible. And then, boom, sermon content, right? Or, so then these templates, what I do is I have them so like peterhaas.org/speaking class. You can just download joke writing templates for your sermons, or Bible verse content for your sermons.
That's great.
So like pastors can just download that kind of stuff, and if it helps them write
So
their
you have
sermons
that right
faster-
now?
Oh yeah, it's already
I'll
done.
have to drop that in show notes for people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I want to ask you this. You talked about how, I love your phrase. You said work expands to the size of the room that it's in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And AI has made you more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
or that it's brought efficiencies in some areas.
Yep.
I know that a lot of organizations are saying, how can we make our staff more efficient using AI?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any ways that you're looking to see, like, to implement it with your staff here at the church, or
Yeah.
pushing them to use it in certain ways?
Well, the way I see it is everybody just needs to be experimenting with it, good and bad, and just see how it can take the edge off. If you think about it, the goal isn't to do less, the goal is to do more of the right stuff.
Yeah.
And to spend less time doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, for example, small group catalogs, right? Like, the number one thing that church members don't know how to, like, especially if you have a lot of small groups, is which one do I go to? Well, if I could be figuring out ways to organize that database, make it more efficient, where you're not, when you do meet with people, it's strategic, and you can be like, well, here, let me just type it out. Okay, based on our 300 small groups, here's the top 3 that you should maybe visit in this order. And then you're a guidance counselor, rather than just, if we don't have endless money to just hang out with people all day long, we've got to steward God's resources well. And so if this can enhance, so like, for example, in multimedia, there's just so many tools coming out, right? But it changes. And so you're always having to acclimate to it. And just, even if it's just 30% better, like stop writing my promo descriptions, or me stop writing my sermon metadata tags. It just takes an hour to do it. Or create a form letter if I'm going to be responding to people. But then I'll customize it. So that way it just takes a 15-minute task down to 3. The goal is just to, I'm always asking the Holy Spirit, where should I be focusing my time more? And so the goal of all tools is to help you obey the Lord. And insofar that it does that, it's awesome. If it doesn't, then it's just another tool that needs to, be tossed aside. There are a lot of people who probably shouldn't be monkeying around with AI. Like, there's pastors who actually are terrible writers, and a chatbot will make them 20% better. The people who are great writers, they probably should be working more on multimedia versions of their sermons, and step it up to the next level. Well, again, AI will make you better at that. Like recently I was preaching on 2 Kings, the widow and the jars of oil, and I all these new apps. Sora was coming out with all the before it did what it did. All these video creation sites were coming out, and I thought, I wonder if I could take that 2-minute Bible reading and turn it into a mini film using 100% AI. And I was able to do it. Now, does it have weird artifacts if you look at it? Yeah. But I wanted to see if I could do it. And if it was more compelling to me doing a voiceover of it with music than if I just read it. Now, a lot of days I just want to keep it simple and I'm going to read the scripture dramatically. But other times I thought it showed me exactly what I could do. So I used Runway, which is a little more multimedia oriented AI. And it was amazing. Or like for a while, whenever I was doing a sermon, I thought, let me get an image to put on my TV. And of course, this is back in the days when it was still producing 12 fingers for, and it became a joke, actually, a running joke for my church, where I would have like a horrible AI picture, a rendition of, I asked it to give me a classic painting of Jesus revealing himself to Mary Magdalene in the garden. And she thought he was a gardener. And so literally it put him in bib overalls and made him look like
like he's from Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the funniest picture I'd ever seen. And I thought, I must integrate this into
So you still used it?
Oh yeah. And it became,
awesome.
It was AI errors that was the humor element in a whole bunch of sermons throughout that year, because there's nothing funnier than watching Jesus have an extra arm hiding underneath his robe. And I was able to point it out. Or I did this one of the dove descending on Jesus. It had lightning bolts coming out of its butt. Amazing. And I was like, why what?
Biblically accurate.
Yeah. And and then I was able to be like, I wish this is what it actually looked like. And it just becomes humor. but it was just making what I do faster.
Yeah.
But and now what's great about like AI is it can just take your sermon, turn it into a blog. Like my biggest problem is I have to delete half my sermon every week.
Yeah.
Just for content, just for the sake of time.
Yeah.
If I can turn that into extra content,
Yeah. Why not?
that my people can link to.
You know, another simple thing that we're doing, we'll take our Sunday sermon, run it through chat, we have a little template, and that creates all of our small group questions for our small groups.
Totally.
It's like,
Yeah. Resources are small.
it takes
Totally.
me 10 seconds, and then we send it out to our small group.
Totally. And what's even more fun is once you start scrutinizing and adding new rules and you create style guides.
Yeah.
And I've actually had more fun creating style guides for ChatGPT
Yeah.
of this is how I want you to do it one step better.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more efficient
It's great.
with each iteration at anticipating, like even when I read a book, like if I load a book into one of my chatbots, it automatically will scrutinize it through the lens of an evangelical megachurch pastor.
Wow.
And it will say, this is what, or you as like who thinks more film and music, you might object to this. It'll even tell me,
Yeah.
it'll give me a critique that is custom to me.
Yeah.
Almost to a weird degree.
Yeah.
And
It is
I've had
weird
to-
how much it will learn about you.
Oh, I asked what I should get my wife and for her birthday, and it freaked. I realized I'm sharing way too much
Yeah.
information.
Well, I think one of the things you said that I really like is that AI is a tool.
Yeah.
And I think we've all seen those articles where people say, it's demon possessed. There's demons hiding in it.
Mhm.
People have wild theories for what it is.
Mhm.
And the way I try to view it is it's the same way as a car.
Yeah.
A car can be used for great good, and there's great tragedy that can happen as a result of
Absolutely.
a car as well. You can use it really wisely, and it can get you from point A to point B much more efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
or you can use it carelessly and cause a lot of harm along the way.
Right.
And I feel like it is so similar to that, where it's just a tool. How do we use it well? How do we use it wisely and not cause harm in our use of it?
I'm gonna throw something in there. So one of the books that you wrote was on church governance, right? What was the name of the book?
Happy Church Governance.
Yeah. If you want to know anything about church governance, get the book. It's great. So I want to stay in this lane for just a little bit. Do you think, with where AI is taking us and where the church is going, that we should be thinking about having some types of ethics, AI ethics, written into any of our policies, procedures, bylaws, statement of faith? Is there any of that?
I would say this: the only things you really want writing into your bylaws are the things you will get sued over or you want to sue over. You should not be putting all of your values in your bylaws. And that's also a mistake that a lot of pastors make, is they use their bylaws as a place for their white papers and expressions.
Yeah.
But you never want to put anything in your bylaws that you would not want to sue someone over or be sued over.
That's great.
Otherwise, just leave it ambiguous.
So would you just put it in like a
I would put it like
Guidelines.
you could put it in a staff manual and say, okay, or just, well, there's basic ethics like I don't want to plagiarize.
Right.
But the problem is I can't even write anything without, I mean, my stuff is online enough where I always flag the plagiarism because I can't even quote myself without getting flagged. I mean, even when I'm writing pages for my doctoral stuff, my content will get flagged as,
Wow.
so to a certain degree, that whole thing is going to get flipped. But I am more like, I do think there are a bunch of ethical things that we are going to have to define about when and how we use certain tools. But it, like you said, it's a tool.
Yeah.
Like I always say, it's like a butter knife. You can use it to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the neighbor kids, or you can kill them with it.
Yeah.
It's about the hand. And so, are there demons in AI? Yes. Is the Holy Spirit moving through it? Also, yes. It just depends on who's using it, how they're using it.
Yeah.
Now, just because if I drive a Honda, it doesn't mean I support Buddhism, or do I? You know what I mean? By giving my money to a company that, I mean, when people talk about tools, I used to collect weird articles on that Christians have written against technology over the eras. There was actually, what's funny is you know, like drums in church. Drums are from Africa and they're demonic beats. And there's all these people that would write these articles on, or Satan is the prince of the power of the air, and so this is why Christians should not be investing in radio ministries, and because the devil will intercept it. And these are like major, these are influencers from the 1930s, right, who are writing these massive diatribes against anyone embracing the new.
Yeah.
Or like Wilbur and Orville Wright, their dad actually took a very hard stance against airplanes, and churches ever integrating airplanes into their missions. Like, and he said, if God intended us to fly, he would have given us wings.
Really?
You know, and yet by the end of his life, he changed his tune because his own son's obviously
pretty successful.
Yeah, they did a
Changing
couple
the
of
world a
things.
little
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it really comes down to, like anything, have we thought through the unintended consequences of this decision? There's always the reaction against the new disruptive tech.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when video models of church were coming out, everybody was like, this is awful, as though somehow the only people who would ever embrace video campus models were egomaniac narcissists who wanted the church to all be about them. And then everybody started realizing how much more cost effective it is for expanding the church. And then all of a sudden people started realizing, oh, we can actually spend more time pastoring people than having 12 of our pastors all writing different mediocre versions of the same sermon. Oh, we can actually save more money in construction, not having to build mega centers. We can multiply faster. We can invade parts of the city that would not be economically viable places to plant churches using video campus tech. Suddenly, this disruptive tech became missional tech. Mm-hmm. And suddenly we realized, oh, we can actually spend more money on small group development instead of high salary teaching pastors. We started seeing the advantages, and I think every technology that is disruptive hasn't fully gone through its coming of age yet, but there's always a new thing like that coming out that is going to irritate people because it flips over the apple carts of how the system works, right?
We were having a really interesting conversation with part of what we do with Sidecar is we have a design agency aspect to it where we're doing branding for churches. Mm-hmm. And obviously you can use AI for design. To your point, you might have 12 fingers or lightning bolts coming out where lightning bolts shouldn't be coming out of.
Right.
And so we were talking about, like, I was asking our designers, when you see something designed by AI, what's your reaction to it? And how does it make you trust that brand more or less? And they were all saying that it makes them trust a brand less.
Yeah,
especially whenever they see a brand launch like that. Because it signals you probably don't have a strong team around you.
Totally.
And you're using tooling in ways that it shouldn't be used.
Totally.
So if the way that people are viewing brands through the AI usage is changing.
Is your team ready to thrive? Do they have the resources and clarity that they need to succeed? In our team coaching sessions, we provide the tools and principles needed to drive health and growth, and most importantly, clarity in your organization. We believe that clarity brings the confidence to lead effectively. So many times we're too close to the problems to see them correctly, and through coaching, we're able to bring objectivity and no emotional attachment to help you see your organization clearly. Together, we'll develop a strategic path that empowers your team to implement best practices and take on new challenges with confidence. Let's unlock your team's potential. Want to learn more? Head over to sidecarleader.com/coaching and let's talk about your goals and how we can help you accomplish them.
best way to ask this question.
Yeah.
Is it changing the way that we pastor people? And maybe are people looking out for it in sermons or in churches on high alert? Are they looking at it in a more distrusting way?
For sure, because you're seeing the rise of AI junk is everywhere.
Yeah.
I just, you can see the thumbnails on YouTube's that are AI generated, and you immediately can tell it's AI generated. Or like nowadays, because I'm so intimately involved with all of my chatbots and how they write, I can tell immediately. And there's always, and it's not just, oh, ChatGPT loves to use M dashes and emojis. It's more than that. It's, you can see the vanilla content that, it's no different than you can immediately tell an AI narrator.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't act right. It doesn't sing the sentence the way a real actor would sing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't emphasize things correctly. It mispronounces words. It, like you can see it. And in my mind, really what people are objecting to also is just the excellence bar is lowering because more people, it's kind of like this. Now that people can use a chatbot to write books, I'm going to try to tell a funny story of a friend of mine who would write audiobooks, and they would do the typical thing that they have courses for online, right? You can find out where there are not enough books on this topic, have AI write your book, and then have AI do your Audible book, and then load it onto Audible and make this much in passive income writing junk books. Well, aside from the fact that they're infringing on a lot of copyrights, because these, nowadays they're starting to look where, like, all LLMs are going to have to actually clear their whole knowledge database and rethink it through copyright lenses, which is coming. It's not there yet. Right now we're in the Wild West still, where every piece of art is the copyrights are going to have to be integrated into it. But all these books, people are finding the dumbest errors in it. And I think what's going to happen is the need for experts to curate amidst all the AI crud what is the best.
Yeah.
And I still think at the end of the day, it's kind of like two jobs in the future economy. There's going to be people that babysit AI, and then there's going to be people that program it.
Fascinating.
And so if you think about there will be AI pastors, and then there's people that will babysit the AI pastor and people that train it. And so same thing with video. And so it's more like, by embracing it, I'd rather be on the training side than the babysitting side.
Yeah.
Do you think churches will, there's probably churches already have it, but in a specific role on staff that is an AI specialist, do you see it going that direction?
Oh yeah. In fact, it already is. In fact, I think guidance counselors for small groups, or I think frontline information gathering about the church, it's already going there. I mean, it's kind of like all the research, how many people actually go to AI to do Bible commentary. And, it bugs me because they're using who knows what commentaries, right? I would rather be able to curate,
kind of build the library,
my database that I think I would like my church to be influenced by these people. Because it bugs me how many people are saying really dumb things that aren't even grounded in reality. And then it gets self-perpetuated. So I think to a certain degree, a lot of it is going to come crashing down it's just people are going to get tired of lame AI generated gobbledygook.
I gotta show you this. This is one of our mutual friends. He was trying to kind of retool his brand for his church. He goes, "Hey, give me your honest opinion about this. I mean, this is just AI." He was like, "But your first reaction." And so he showed me this. And he said, "I took my old brand and I just had to kind of rework it a little bit." And I said, "Well, I tell you what, instead of me giving you the response, I'm going to send it to our team at Sidecar Creative Lab, send it to them." And they said, "Is that supposed to be someone flipping you off?"
Oh my gosh, yeah, that totally looks like a middle finger.
Yeah.
See, AI would never catch that.
It wouldn't.
It won't catch it.
It's like the nuance, like you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, ultimately, that's going to be the biggest babysitting. The nuances is going to be a major issue. But you know what? I think about how many years every time we would do a T-shirt as a church, it was like, and we'd end up with another typo.
Yeah.
Right? Or how many? I had 9 editors go over Pharisectomy, and we still ended up with 15 typos. There's certain things that
I still haven't read that book. I don't want to.
What?
Would that be your out of
I like Broken Escalators better than Pharisectomy, from a writing humor standpoint. But yeah, I mean, Broken Escalators and Pharisectomy were my broad
Didn't that
audience.
just make like 20 years?
Broken
10 years?
Escalators, I did the re-release, and Pharisectomy, I will do the 20th. I'll do the 15th anniversary edition coming up. So I'll do. I'm adding new chapters like politically transmitted diseases.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
the
I love all your
is the
little
new one.
That's
So
great.
and it has. So I'm finishing the chapters on. So it's how to remove your inner Pharisee and other religiously transmitted diseases, and it's
That's genius.
so
good.
I'll add these chapters on politically transmitted diseases and then re-release it. And then the church governance book, Habit Church Governance, is now going to be a 2-volume textbook. That it'll be one for churches that want to change their bylaws. If it is true that you can predict how your church's life expectancy based on its bylaws, which is one of the premises of my book, which I'm leaving it mysterious. It's for churches that want to change their bylaws, and then for churches that already have a board and they just want to go through understanding the whys behind the what of it's church bylaws and the church splits that created them. And so it's 50 church split stories
Oh, wow.
of like all the disasters I've been called in to mediate over the years.
Are these real case studies or fictional?
Oh, they're all real, but I had to obviously modify names.
Yeah.
But it's little dumb things like these. You'll get these like Gen Z church planners who are like, yeah, we're gonna have a 5-way co-pastorate, and because we just believe it's more biblical, and they'll cite some weird thing, and then it sounds great in theory until you and I end up being called in to clean it up, and now they're fighting over the assets, and they got in a fight, and they don't think through like it's okay to lead as a team, but bylaws are designed for worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
And so what are all the earlier versions of that done 2 decades ago that crashed? Nobody cares about it when you have no assets, but then when there's tens of millions of assets to fight over, suddenly,
it matters a whole lot.
yeah, you're gonna.
So in that book, will you talk about, because we've dealt with this a lot with some clients at Sidecar, you have a new lead pastor that takes over a church that wasn't a denomination, so it's that style of governance, but they're wanting to move it more towards, some of our audience knows more of an archetype model of governance, but they're like, how do I even make that transition? How do I get to...
So the first book, Happy Church Governance, it's a history study on every form of church governance and church history, why it was developed, the pros and cons, how it affects your life expectancy as a church.
That's interesting.
And then the psychology of decision making, the types of fights churches routinely get into, how to avoid them. And then, so it's for people that are transitioning models and they have a they've been told the only way to be a biblical church is to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And so I hit a few more of the theological arguments, and kind of I take a more agnostic approach. Here's how to borrow the strengths of all the major forms of church governance in history.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you think that from all of your study and stuff that there is I don't want to use
the biblical
yeah.
ecclesiology.
Or is there, like you said, is it
Pros and cons.
There's pros and cons, and you kind of.
The Bible speaks more to how you treat one another than it does to flow charts.
Yeah.
Every form of church governance claims to be the biblical one, and we all find our favorite Bible verse that we think is the preeminent one that should define everything, right? And I take the position of, we all know there's an apostle, we all know there's a plurality of elders. Here's how to borrow the best and integrate it into a custom model that is best for the type of church that you're pastoring.
Yeah.
And actually, I think your model should change based on where you are in your church life cycle.
I have a question, because you talked about the rise of non-denominations earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you addressed this in the book, that, I mean, there's going to be pros and cons to a denomination, pros and cons to a non-denomination.
Yeah.
I think we live in a time where people have a natural distrust towards leadership.
Yes.
And with the rise of non-denominational churches, anyone can go and start a nonprofit and call it a church and create a board that might have a facade of accountability without true accountability.
Yeah, for sure.
So how would you address that?
Oh man, there's a million churches that you and I would never go to.
Yeah.
That are hot right now, and that have an influencer lead pastor who's writing a great book.
Yeah.
And I look at the bylaws and I think, oh, give it about 15 years before its first major split. And I do talk a lot about, so a lot of people also are like, if I was to say, if I was to break a church down to the lead pastor, overseer pastors, the elders, the staff, and the congregation, which of these is most likely to sin and wreck the church? Most people will immediately go, the lead pastor is the one who will wreck it, right? Because that's the headline of the moral failure, right? That's not even statistically true at all. In fact, most churches die not because of a lead pastor having an affair. They die because of a board that no longer can take risk with the assets anymore.
Yeah, it's the whole barbarian bureaucrat.
Yes, right. Like the actual causes of church death are not what people see or understand.
Wow.
So every form of church governance is designed to hold one of those groups more accountable than the others.
Fascinating.
And so if you don't know that and be like, is that really what we should be protecting against right now? Right? Like,
that's fascinating.
And if you don't think that through though, you employ the wrong bylaws and you protect the wrong values and you stifle innovation, and it's, so to a certain degree, there are a lot of churches that I would never give my money to, because I also know that the life expectancy, like for example, did you know the average church over 20 years old it has a less than 1% chance of ever bearing evangelistic fruit? Like the odds of conversion growth are less than 1%. The average church over 17 years old generally will stop winning lost people. It'll grow by 1% conversion growth up till year 40. And 80% of its growth will be transfer growth. Now there's reasons for that. And there's also ways to be the exception to the rule. How do you, as most churches generally stop evangelizing after their founding pastor. And not because they don't believe in evangelism, but because the assets demand protection and the values, and evangelism requires risk, and so generally churches stop growing from conversion growth after the founding pastor. There's ways to flip that, right? Like at having taken over a well-established church as the non-founder, it took me about 6 years to even have the authority to use the assets. And so I always tell pastors, if you plant, you spend 6 to 10 years earning assets. You have all the authority in the world, but no assets. If you take over a church, you have all the assets in the world, but you won't be able to use them without endless lectures on what we used to do and how to use these assets well. And you're going to spend your first 6 to 10 years earning either authority or assets. Either way, it's 6 to 10 years. So just suck it up. But even knowing that, right, it'll all of a sudden be like, that's why I knew I was a better planter, because I'm not a patient person.
Yeah.
And I'm not good at politics. I'm better at momentum and innovation. So planting was the best way for me to do it. I can build a bigger church faster with nothing. But it's also my personality, right? So it's knowing that about picking the model of church even that fits who God made you to be. And so I don't ever say there's the biblical model. I can go and pretty much anybody who says that, I can go play the devil's advocate and prove to them through scripture that there's another model out there. So I try to take an agnostic. It's more like, what's the model that fits the leader, fits the model of church, the location of church, the traditions that you're coming out of, the traditions that you should be looking to. And so both of these books that I wrote on governance are actually more like, here's how to build the car universally. Like, if you really want an F1 engine versus a stock car versus an Amazon electric truck, you got to build a different vehicle and they will accomplish a different thing.
Here at Sidecar Leader, we don't just develop content that we hope adds value to you. Our bread and butter is really our coaching. If you're feeling stuck as a leader, whether you're navigating growth, strategic planning, staffing decisions, or tackling your toughest priorities, our one-on-one coaching sessions are here to guide you. Together, we'll identify the strategies and steps that will take your leadership to the next level. It's time to invest in your growth because your vision and your team deserve it. If you're ready to get started, you can visit sidecarleader.com/coaching. We can't wait to work alongside of you.
Right, and so here's how you do it. It's more like, this is how you take apart an engine and put it back together without it exploding on your whole church. It's kind of why I wrote the books.
I have a million topics that I want to talk to you about. We touched like maybe 1.5 of them.
Yeah.
So here's what you got to promise me.
Yeah.
That we won't wait another year to have another conversation.
Let's do it. I love talking about this kind of stuff because, and here's why. Most lead pastors don't get their first lead pastorate until their 40s. And they've only been in it for like 6 years. And by the time they learn how to pull the right levers, so to speak, like build the car that they're racing, they're already getting close to retirement and they don't get good at it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the advantage
That's interesting.
that I've gotten is God threw me in the deep end, so deep, when I was 24. And, I've been able to log, the 10,000 hours to expertise, like we talked about Erickson. I feel like I'm able to get into the, let's really build better churches from board standpoint, ecclesiology. Let's really take this thing apart and put it together again. Same thing with sermon writing. Let's think about what platforms we should be preaching towards, not just our physical one, but how do we preach to Planet Instagram versus Planet TikTok versus Planet YouTube? How do the algorithms affect things? What are the ways to maximize that? Otherwise, if we don't give better systems, I think that's why I love the ARC, is that it's all about simplifying systems.
Yeah.
Right? Here's how you make church planning simpler. But all of that, I mean, think about how many new technologies are going to come out in the next couple of years that are going to fundamentally change the way pastoring is done, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
And we just need to be able to lean into it and have these types of dialogues, like how do you preach sermons with an LLM? How do you, like the ethics, right? You got to talk about it, because if you don't, somebody's going to make a disaster, and then, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I have one more question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I want to know, what is the question about AI we should have asked you, but we didn't ask you?
The question about AI.
Is there one?
You should have asked me.
And it could be in preaching, ministry, leadership, life, anything.
Okay. Yes. So what a lot of people don't realize about AI is how we use it to ethically grow our churches is going to fundamentally change data. Like the big mega shift that is about to hit churches that they are not aware of is we have the ability to gather more data from our churches than ever before, and yet we aren't. Church metrics. How do we measure what matters? Most churches literally have an usher with a pad and paper and are still counting people every Sunday. We only count two things: nickels and noses, income and attendance. And the advanced churches are counting how many people are on ministry teams, how many people are in small groups, how many baptisms. We add a few more metrics in there. But where it's going is we have the ability to actually measure thousands of data points on people and then use AI to help them figure out which is the best. And so what I'm actually doing for my doctoral research project is I am now measuring between 20 and 40 discipleship habits in our people. And I'm able to algorithmically predict in order which ones have the biggest impact on spiritual growth, church satisfaction, and church growth, which aren't always the same thing. You can grow your church but not grow it healthy. You can grow your church, grow it healthy, but people aren't happy. And so if you can have people that are happy, actually growing, and growing your economics, your assets, what would that look like? That's all going to emerge in the next couple of years, and pastors are not thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do is create data. Like so one of my projects is I've been able to predict the top 5 reasons why a volunteer will quit a ministry and in what order, and then creating a diagnostic tool that will prevent that. I even have another way to measure when a person is about to quit your church, what habits do they demonstrate in the preceding 9 months?
Wow.
And what can we do to prevent it? Like we actually have tools and models that can predict that, so that you and I aren't just reacting to the one disaster ministry where everybody quit and now we have to figure out, well, what happened? Well, so-and-so burned out, or, like you can actually predict volunteer burnout.
Yeah.
You can predict like giving people a discipleship roadmap, how to make them, like the old secret to discipleship according to Campus Crusade was identify people's felt needs and real needs. Well, their felt need is they want to read the book of Revelation. Their real need is they need to get a budget and go through a Dave Ramsey class and get 2 more Christian friends. Well, if I could develop a curriculum or a sermon series that teaches them on the end times while getting them Dave Ramsey and an extra friend, boom, I've won the secret to getting them, keeping them alive spiritually. AI tools can give us that much data. And so the question is, are pastors integrating these tools? Are they really thinking about how we can utilize this to change the global church?
Yeah.
And if not, we're missing out on the golden age.
Yeah.
It's how to program the next, like if we aren't raising up like people who are good at creating AI agents,
Yeah.
and then people who are creating multimedia artists who can take that information and reach these audiences, like the two biggest jobs that people are going to be hiring are people that know how to create AI agents and people that know how to do multimedia in light of those insights.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of churches are still thinking Stone Ages.
Yeah.
They're brick and mortar, multi-site strategy, they're physical platforms. But as real estate increases, I'm just telling you, there's a whole new golden age of church planning, and a lot of it is going to be digital. And so
where my mind goes, and we can stop, but where my mind goes while you were talking about that, and my brain doesn't even have the gear to go where yours goes. But I wonder how useful AI will be when it comes to like spiritual formation within churches, especially if you're trying to do it at scale, where our assimilation plan, our activation and engagement plan, all that has almost in the last maybe 10, 20 years become standardized systems everywhere.
Yep.
And everyone's on a different spiritual journey at a different starting point.
Exactly.
And so if we just have this standardized, it's kind of like Sir Ken Robinson's Evolution of Education. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
And he talked about the standardization of
Yes.
education. It's kind of the same thing.
Yes.
And people are in different places. And so if we could figure out how do we use AI to read the data points and create some customization,
Yes.
meeting people where they're at, and we're still a part of the journey.
Yeah.
And that's it, actually.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm trying to
Well, in
articulate.
fact, actually, here's where I'm going with this. If I could get you to ask, or if I could passively get you to give me information on 5 data points that can accurately predict a massive amount of things about what you need spiritually, the fewest number of data points that have the largest impact in predicting things about you. If I can get that out of you either passively, where you're logging onto our live stream can auto edit the sermon to your worldview, and you're a seeker, or you want the seminary cut, or you want the ADHD cut, and like all of that is all gonna go down in the next 5 years. So like how I preach to the camera so that it could be auto edited, or my avatar could be changed to my wife, or whatever the world actually needs to hear this through. Like we're gonna be able to know these things for good or for bad, right? All of that, it's doable now. The technology exists. The church just doesn't know how to do it because we're so fragmented in mom and pop in the way that we think about our processes. But all of that, so even for me to be able to get consensus on what are the top 40 most important biblical habits that churches will want to measure, and then showing them, here's a tool that will enable you to do that. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to bite off in the next couple of years and then it just becomes an AI agent where churches, it's no different than this. 23andMe, back when it was kind of a thing, it would ask me these questions on my genetic makeup, like, do you want to participate in a survey? And by filling out this 5-minute survey, we can tell you if you are genetically predisposed to liking chocolate. And I already know I am. Okay, so
you don't need a survey.
But yeah, it was another one when COVID came out. Find out if you are genetically predisposed to long haul COVID. You'll be the first to get your results if you participate in this survey. So basically, I'm giving them personal information in exchange for value.
Yeah.
I get to know what risk I am. Imagine so what I'm trying to do is create tools like that where people will give me information, in exchange for,
The value add.
of the last 100 sermons I preached, which 3 would be the most painfully relevant to you? Or of all these 15 marital habits you could be focusing on, here are the 2 that will predict the highest likelihood of spiritual growth in your marriage. Or of all the executive decisions you as a lead pastor could be making, these 2 have a 93% chance of increasing your income by 10% and your church satisfaction by 23%. All of that can actually be figured out now if we were just doing more research. And so my whole thing is also getting research going on all of this. So I have research teams that I've been starting on volunteer satisfaction. And because all of this is going to be programmed into our AI agent in the next 3 years. And then I want to gift a lot of it to the body of Christ is the goal. And I'm going to need help, obviously, because I'm going to need churches to bite off this aspect of it. And then we can all be contributing to this one database on what does digital discipleship look like.
Man,
So that's where it's going. And
Peter Haas,
it's going to be fun.
you're a brilliant mind.
You are.
And you're
Well,
you're,
thank you,
you're a
guys.
gift to the body of Christ.
Well,
You really are.
thank you. I can talk a good game, but if you come to our church, you'll realize we're just trying to figure it out like
You have
every
a
other church.
fantastic church.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
love it.
Always
I love
leave
it.
conversations with you thinking so much bigger than
Yeah.
I was before. So,
Same.
and this is exactly the same as that. So, I can't wait for a third recording, but part 2 to this.
Come on, let's do it.
Love you, man.
Love you too.